Hi, we are in As a Couple module. It's like I mentioned before, it's really good to take this module as a couple. I wanted to share a few stories here. Have you been on a situation where you're going through in the middle of infertility? God forbid you just lost, you either miscarried or you lost the baby in that. And as a wife, you're so emotional. You're crying, you just want to be alone, you're grieving so much. And there's the husband, sometimes is silent, just doesn't know how to support the wife. Have you been on a situation where as a wife, you go to this treatment or this procedure by yourself, and for some reason your husband wasn't able to come with you, and you get all this information from your doctor, and they were telling so much of information overload, and you come home and you just give out all the information to your husband. This is what my doctor told, this is what we need to do, this is what we have to take, this is where we have to go, this is the medicine I need to order, this is the injection I have to take, this is the next process, this is my next time I have to go for an appointment. And then for the husband, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of information overload. And sometimes, have you seen your husband checks out? Or if you're a man, do you check out with that information overload? And as a couple, during infertility challenges, do you find fault in each other no matter what? Just even for smaller things here and there. It's not uncommon, it is common. With infertility, making a baby isn't sexy. It's stressful, it's really hard, and of course, it's miserable and robotic. You're losing the intimacy here. It's not intimate anymore. It's not for pleasure anymore. It's like robotic. The timings, this is the time you have to do it. And there is this constant stress of the treatments and the repeated disappointments, if there is. It totally strains the relationship. Women may feel more irritable and emotional, just like a volcano about to burst. And her partner may feel helpless and worried. And women can be like this, up and down, positive one time and negative one time, positive and negative. It just goes up and down and up and down. You never know what's going to show up. It can be exhausting on the partner. And most importantly, when you're going through something so tough like this, couples don't have proper tools to support and communicate with each other. We were not taught these things while growing up. Do you know what happens as the outcome of this? It happened to me. There is this invisible wall that's growing tall and strong and thick between the couples. And actually it affects the intimacy and relationship a lot. And I wanted to talk about, there are 4 toxins in a relationship. This study was made by Dr. John Gottman of the Gottman Institute. And they talk about 4 toxins that appear in relationship, any relationship. Number 1, criticism. Number 2, defensiveness. Number 3, contempt. Number 4, stonewalling. Let's talk about criticism a little bit. And think about your situation with infertility where this happens. Criticism is basically attacking the person rather than the behavior. For example, what's wrong with you? Why are you being so stupid? You never think of me. You're so selfish. I'm going through all this. Right? You're actually attacking the person rather than the behavior. This is criticism, and this is one of the toxins. Number 2 is defensiveness. Defensiveness is a typical response to criticism. Here, what people do is they're just fishing for excuses to play an innocent victim. And excuses, when people start telling excuses, it only tell the other person, but we are not taking about the concerns seriously. Or worst, we are not taking responsibility of our mistakes. And defensiveness is almost always an unsuccessful strategy. It actually only escalates conflict. And basically, when you are defending somebody, it's another way of blaming. It's another way of blaming your partner. And that's the number 2 toxin, which is defensiveness. Number 3, it's contempt. It's the worst, and Dr. John and Jane Gottman calls it, it's the most poisonous of all the toxins, contempt in your relationship. Sarcasm, belittling, name calling, cynicism, hostile humor, all this are part of being contempt. It actually conveys disgust and condescension. And you know what? When there is contempt in a relationship, it actually is harmful for the physical being as well. It's that harmful. When you keep talking about belittling somebody else, when you're sarcastically speaking, when you're name calling, when you're being a cynic, it actually affects somebody's health a lot. And there is a study. And there is negative thoughts going on and on and on and on and on. That actually triggers contempt. And you know why we have negative thoughts going on and on about somebody? Because we are not communicating. We have unresolved differences in our relationship, and we are not talking about it on a regular basis. And you know what? Contempt is the single greatest predictor of divorce today. If you see a couple going to a divorce lawyer or ending up divorcing, 90% of the time there was contempt in their relationship. I'm actually going to show you a slide. This is a research that I personally did, talking to different people across this country in the States. And the question was, how is infertility affecting your relationship? And these were some of the answers that I collected. I'm not going to read all of this, but I will read few of this. This process truly is a make or break on relationships. It broke mine. My husband got a job in North Carolina, and I still lived in New York. As much as I didn't like being apart, I think it helped. I literally just had a fight with my partner. The emotional and the financial strain is really pushing us to our limit. See? Contempt in relationship. The 4th toxin is stonewalling. Stonewalling is a very typical response to contempt. You know what happens when people stonewall? They just withdraw. They just go silent. They just stop responding. Have you seen that in your relationship? They just either turn away or act busy or, like get busy with their laptop or just, look at the phone or just, lost in their own thoughts. Stonewalling results in psychological flood that prevents people from having that rational discussion. The person is trying to avoid or shuts down because they just cannot take anything anymore. The content. They are just too much of psychological overload. That's why they stonewall other people. So these are the 4 toxins in a relationship: criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. Oh my God, Pradeepa, I am somewhere here. What should I do? There is good news. There are antidotes for these toxins. I'll share some of my favorite ones. For stonewalling, I'll start with stonewalling. If you see somebody stonewalling, The good thing to do at the time is just take some time off. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Just get away from that place, get away from that location. Just go for a walk or, be separate. Clear your head and then come back into the conversation. If you're seeing yourself criticizing, right, the person, not the behavior, tell them, I wish you care about me, or you ask me, how did it go after I come back from my appointment? Because oftentimes, there is a request behind the criticism. When there is defensiveness, if you are somebody defending your stance as a response to criticism, this is where you need to start actively listening. Why is this person criticizing me? Pay some attention, because even if they're criticizing, if they're blaming you and not the problem, there is a 2% truth in that. Something is not there, something is not working. And take responsibility. Even if you're not taking complete responsibility of the problem, take at least partial responsibility. So, I would generally recommend pay attention to each of you. Ask your wife or your husband, how are you doing? How are you feeling? This may not be a question that we ask. We should ask this every day. It doesn't matter whether you're going through infertility or not. How are you doing today? How are you feeling today? I'll share one of my clients. She actually asked her husband this past Father's Day. They were just driving, both of them. Just the simple question, like, how are you doing? Because it was Father's Day. And you know what happened? The male partner, he just broke down immediately. He just broke down immediately. She has never seen anything like that before. Men go through this too. They just show it differently. And as a woman, typically we don't pay attention to those. And allow your man to be vulnerable. Right? Women can be vulnerable more easily if you have the safe space, but it's not easy for men to be vulnerable. But allow your man to be vulnerable. And that actually brings you closer together. Having that vulnerability in your relationship brings you closer together. And this is something that I share as a tip to the couples that I work with. When you are in hard times, when this is a sucky journey, and you're in the middle of this, say this together. Together, we will make it through this too. I'll say this again. Together, we will make it through this too. Saying it out loud like that actually makes a world of difference. And actually, you're comforting each other. No matter what happens, we both are in this together. And you know what's the best antidote for contempt? Which is the poisonous of all the toxins? Intentional and genuine appreciation for each other. You're always looking at sarcastically, right? This hostile humor, right? Name calling. Because we don't appreciate each other. We don't respect each other. Show some intentional and genuine appreciation. And when there is wrongdoing on either one of your parts, please apologize. Please apologize. And this is one of my favorite too. Your infertility journey is not all the thing in your life. You had some amazing things, even though it's sucking right now. You had some amazing things that have happened in your past. Intentionally remind yourself, each other. Maybe look at the photo album for the best vacation. Or look at your wedding album. You know, why did you come together in the first place? Why did you say I do in the first place? Remind yourself of what made you come together. What made you choose to be each other's partner in the first place? Right? Reminding yourself of those good memories will really help you appreciate where you were and where you are now and how far you have come from in your relationship. And last but not the least, don't be afraid to seek out help from a professional just like me. Because a professional coach can help you offer a safe space to explore your challenges and help you with some tools and techniques, practical tools and techniques that help you repair your relationship and rejuvenate your relationship and make it even more harder and stronger together, no matter where you are in your journey. My deep desire for the couples is infertility should not break your relationship. It should not. When I was going through it, I had so many hardships with my relationship with my husband. He's an amazing person, but that invisible wall was kept on going, long and strong. And we were having a hard time. And I was this close to thinking, why am I on this relationship? You know what my journey taught me? We are married 18 years. We just celebrated our anniversary just a few weeks ago. Infertility should never be the cause for your separation. So if you can't do it by yourself, seek professional help, because a divorce is not worth it. Separation is not worth it. Okay? I will see you in the workbook.